Ladies and gentlemen of the NHS and the wards that never sleep, fill the gaps with your own staff. Trust me on the staffing. The National Health Service will face staffing crises that no single government can fully solve in a single term. Shortages have walked these halls for decades, aging populations. Rising demand, tight budgets, burnout, and broken retention, leaving wards and clinics stretched thin. As long as most of us can remember. After the war, they turned to the Commonwealth in the 90s and the new millennium. Campaigns called nurses from the Philippines and India to help the service grow. It was practical then. It filled the gaps when homegrown training could not keep pace. Then Brexit came. Then the pandemic struck, EU movement slowed, pressures exploded. The system reached further across the world. By the early 20s, 1 in 4 nurses on the register had trained overseas. Doctors sat above 40% in many counts. New arrivals from abroad sometimes made up nearly half of every fresh registration. In September 2022, amid the deepest crunch, NHS England offered trusts an extra £7,000. £7,000! For every overseas nurse they brought in that first quarter of 2023. More support than before. Designed to speed arrivals, cover visas, exams, relocation. The money went to the hospitals, not the nurses. A practical incentive to keep the lights burning and the beds filled. But incentives shaped choices. Hospitals could claim that bonus for migrant hires, while British-trained nurses and graduates sometimes waited for posts. Faster onboarding, lower short-term costs than 3 full years of training at home. Some saw a quiet preference, a financial nudge that quietly sidelined homegrown talent. Shunning British citizens who were trained here, who wanted to serve here. UK medical graduates competed for scarce specialty places, while international pipelines kept flowing. Remember the ethics, many came from nations already stretched thin. Nigeria lost tens of thousands of nurses in just a few short years, many bound for these shores. Workloads back home grew, crushing care suffered. The World Health Organization warned of brain drain. Red lists were written. Active recruitment from the most vulnerable countries was meant to be discouraged. The UK wrote its own code of practice, promising alignment with global standards. Yet people still apply, agencies still moved. Pull factors proved powerful, better pay, safer conditions, brighter futures. Push factors at home, low wages, instability, crumbling resources. Did the rest. Wealthy systems gain skilled hands, poorer ones lost the very professionals they had educated. Remittances flowed home. Yes, skills sometimes returned, but the immediate cost to fragile health systems was real and heavy. Ladies and gentlemen, do not mistake necessity for virtue. International staff have kept the NHS alive. Many have delivered outstanding care. The savings in training costs have been substantial, billions over time. Individual freedom to seek opportunity still matters. But do not ignore the deeper pattern. Heavy reliance dulls the urgency to fix what's broken at home. Pay, conditions, training places, real retention. It becomes a habit instead of bridge. By 2025, the tide began to turn. Immigration rules tightened, domestic training targets rose sharply. Plans were set to cut overseas reliance to under 10% of new joiners by the mid-2030s. Prioritize
British graduates,
grow the home workforce.
slow the constant inflows.
The lesson is older than any of us so this team manage migration with open eyes to ethics, to sustainability, to genuine mutual benefit where it truly exists.
Use incentives wisely.
Never as a crutch.
Train your own staff.
Build domestic capacity relentlessly. Respect the global commons of human talent. And trust that a health service strong at home will ultimately serve everyone better. The future of the NHS is not only about who walks through the doors today. It is about who we choose to become. The nation that trains its own, stands on its own, and rises on its own tomorrow. This is our moment. This is our moment to train our own staff.